Hi, Tony here, welcome to the channel where you find me in Ireland. I'm just outside Dublin, a beautiful Carton hotel, and I've got a couple of days here exploring. I'm here with Honda. We're going to be riding 4 of the DCT bikes, the Africa Twin, the NT1100, X-ADV and Goldwing. We're starting here on the outskirts of Dublin, and today we're heading to Cork. We're staying overnight in Cork and then heading back to Dublin via Tipperary. So hopefully you're going to see some beautiful scenery. I'm going to talk a little bit about the bikes. Now obviously it's going to be a little bit DCT heavy because it is a DCT event, but we're very lucky that we've got a couple of the tech guys from Japan here, including Mr. Dai Arai, who is Mr. DCT. He is the chief engineer on the dual clutch transmissions. He was the guy that introduced it back in 2007. So we had a very interesting chat last night going through the evolution of DCT, how it's triggered, all of the maths and everything that goes behind getting it to work, and I'll touch on a little bit of that during the video. Pretty complex, a lot of it, but so I'll kind of skirt through it at my normal level. But yeah, hopefully we're going to have a brilliant couple of days, and glad to have you along. Okay, so here we go. First leg of the day. So we've got 2 days, 4 bikes. So I'm on an Africa Twin standard CRF 1100L to start with. Then at lunchtime I think I'm switching to an X-ADV, and then tomorrow I'm on an NT1100 in the morning, and then back to our final stop on a Goldwing. So a really good kind of mix of bikes. Quite a lot of guys on the ride today, and I think it's going to be a little bit more relaxed than a standard press launch. It's more of a tour. I know the press launches generally pace is pretty brisk, but I think they're reiterating to everybody that this is a tour. And we've got a lot of European guys here. There's guys from Spain, Italy, Portugal. So we've got to get those guys and make sure they're driving on the right side of the road. So yeah, home for me to start with on the Africa Twin. Hopefully in this video I'm going to show you a little bit about the bikes, a little bit about DCT, we'll see a little bit of the Irish scenery, and you'll get to see what goes on behind the scenes of some of these things as well. We've got some rolling tracking and photo stops and all that sort of bit. So I think we've got an hour's ride to get to our first photo stop. Okay, so let's just start with a little bit about the DCT on the Africa Twin. Now the Africa Twin is the only bike in the DCT range which is linked to an IMU. I think this is kind of almost the pinnacle of DCT, I guess, because you've got all the other kind of usual measurements that you have, what gear you've selected, what the speed is, all those sort of bits and pieces, incline and decline, but also with the IMU you've got the lean, braking and acceleration. So it's more sophisticated in that sense, and what it does is prevents the bike from making a gear change kind of middle of the bend, but it can also tell if you're braking hard, so it will change down quicker, or accelerating hard and it will hold on to the gears for a bit longer. I'm in my favourite Sport 2 mode, which is where I normally ride these bikes. So it's the first time I've actually ridden in Ireland. I've never been to Dublin. I've been to Cork a few times. So we've got about an hour's ride to get to our first photo point, and then we're stopping somewhere for lunch, swapping bikes, and then on to our next hotel for tomorrow. I know I talk about DCT quite a lot, and I am a big fan of the system. I think it works well. I understand obviously not everybody likes it, but I think it just adds so much to riding, particularly a bike like this, in terms of comfort, relaxation, and if you're wobbling around off-road, then the fact that it will never stall is a big selling point. But anyway, I think we're getting onto the boring motorway now, so I'll cut back to you later. Now we're starting to get into some real countryside. Look at this. How beautiful. A bit nippy. I'm glad I didn't put my mesh jacket on. I think the temperature's due to get a little bit warmer this afternoon. But look at this. It is absolutely beautiful so far. And I'm feeling very at home on the Africa Twin. As you know, I really do like this bike, and it's probably my favourite motorcycle, and I'd always take it with DCT. I'll tell you what though, this road is a good test of how plus the suspension is. Blimey, it's a bumpy old thing, but I think I can definitely see myself coming back here after this event to spend some time riding. Isn't that pretty?
We'll send you down the hill to Alex, one by one, every 30 seconds, every 45 seconds, okay? Lovely.
Thank you, sir.
And finally.
Okay, so first video stroke photo run of the day.
Okay. Lovely.
All good? Next to a lovely babbling brook. So somewhere there'll be a drone behind me, which you might be able to see from this camera, and then we've got cameramen and all sorts. So yeah, there's the cameraman there. First one is always just getting your eye in as to where everybody is, but look at this, just an incredible piece of scenery. Well, they've really picked a good spot for this one. And then we'll all congregate at the bottom and do exactly the same in reverse. It's a tough life. How you doing, Ben? You alright? That's alright. Yeah. We are in the Wicklow Mountains. What a thoroughly beautiful place. Very, very lucky indeed. The last little ride on the Africa Twin, so we're heading for lunch. We've got about an hour and a half ride, which looks like it could be very nice through this countryside. Just approaching the Vale of Clara, and then my time on the Africa Twin is done, and I'm on to the X-ADV, which is in front of me. Simon Hargreaves is riding that, and so I've got that for the afternoon. It's nice to be back on the standard Africa Twin. I do like the adventure sports, and it's funny jumping back onto this after riding adventure sports. It feels quite dinky. The only drawback is that they still have tubed tyres, so for me, if I'm going to be travelling into Europe or doing some touring or just general riding, I don't really want to be carrying, you know, a spare tube or tyre levers and all that business. I'd rather just have a plug kit that I can, you know, fix. And if I get a catastrophic tyre failure, even if it's got a tube, that's not something I'm going to deal with. So anyway, I'm going to switch off now because the pace is hotting up a little bit, so I can fully concentrate on roads I don't know. I'm going to stop talking, and I'll see you at the lunch break. Okay, so a little bit of a different experience now. I'm off of the Africa Twin onto the X-ADV. Slightly different DCT system. When it comes to modes, this has got sport, rain, road and gravel. And because of the riding position with your feet down here, this is your rear brake. No foot controls on this whatsoever. But like bicycle, front brake, rear brake. We've got a little bit more motorway work to do. I'm not sure how long this is going to hold up. I might have to rethink this battle plan. The photo and video spot for this afternoon, right on the coast here. I think this is the Copper Coast. Absolutely beautiful. Definitely going to come back to this part of the world to do some riding. It's phenomenal. Now, I haven't said too much about the X-ADV actually, because I had a few technical issues with the mount on my 360 camera, which tried to essentially fly off on the motorway. So one of the benefits of DCT is I was able to ride and hold it with one hand. But I'd forgotten just how much of a hoot this bike is, particularly in sports mode. It's just a real buzzy little thing. It will really get on. And even with this kind of feet forward position, scooter riding position, which I'm not used to, it's really nimble. You can really lob it about. I may change my mind about what my least favourite bike of the group is, to be fair. This is blooming good. Okay, so that's the photo and video bits done. We're now going to head off to the hotel and we're going to do some tracking shots en route. So I'll capture some of that.
You need to go in front of Matt.
Team here, Alex and Dave and Matt, Ben, all the guys that organise this, the outriders, do a fantastic job of shepherding a bunch of unruly motorcycle journalists around, me not included. I don't count myself as a motorcycle journalist. I'm more of a consumer reviewer, I would say. So yeah, X-ADV, what a funky little bike this is. I know when I had one on loan from the press fleet, I did all what I needed to do with it, but I found that when I was having to run errands, this would be the bike that I would pull out of the garage and use, because it's just so practical. Pop the seat up, bung all your camera gear or shopping or whatever it might be in there, and then just buzz around on it. Hell of a lot of fun. Looks a bit different. It's not your usual type of machine. And actually you soon adapt to this kind of foot forward position and having a brake over here. It takes a little while, but within 15-20 minutes of riding it today, I've kind of got that down. So I'm going to carry on down here, and I will cut back when we get to do some of the tracking so you can see what that's all about. So what's happening now is I'm sat behind the Honourable David Dew. In front of me and up ahead of him is the first tracking bike, which I'm not sure if it's photo or video. I wasn't paying attention when they gave us the briefing, but I'll be sitting here, and then when those guys have done their tracking shots of Simon ahead, Dave will wave me past him. I ride up to the first guy, which will be video camera, do a bit with him. He waves me by onto the next guy, which will be the video and camera, the alternative to whatever the first one was, and then when he's done he waves me by and the next person in the group follows on. So it's a good way of doing those tracking shots without having to kind of do runs and up and down hills, and we can make progress to the hotel for the evening. It looks like from the position of the pillion, this is video, this is the first one. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, this is the video man. So all I've got to do is keep my eye on him and he'll tell me where he wants me. Me really in close. There we go. Just need to maintain that distance. As you'll see, he appears to be very relaxed, sitting precariously on the back of that Africa Twin. Here's the camera guy, so I'll have to suck my stomach in. If you don't want to sit with your head facing him, you need to kind of look your eyes to one side to be able to get the instruction without making it obvious that you're pointing your head at the camera. I wonder how many times he's dropped that camera. Well, not that one, because that wouldn't exist anymore. There we go, switcheroo, right hand side. And there we go. Now I've just got to catch up with the rest of the group. Quick fuel stop. Always fun trying to fuel up, I think 22 bikes. Okay, so that is day one done and dusted. Dublin to Cork, 2 bikes ticked off, the X-ADV and the Africa Twin. So tomorrow we do the return leg, different route. We go via Tipperary, which apparently is a long way, and then and I'll be doing that on the NT 1100 and the Goldwing. So looking forward to that. We've got another lovely hotel tonight to stay in. I think everybody's going to sleep well today. We did quite a lot of mileage. I'm going to head back in, see what's going on with the rest of the group, and I'll catch up with you in the morning.